Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. And in today's stream, I am going to be working a bit more on my teaser animation. I did take a bit of a break. I've been going through some things, and so Tuesdays have not been good days for me in regards to streaming. I just felt like I've been slowing down. But, God willing, hopefully Fridays will still remain my main streaming days. That's definitely what I hope for and look forward to. So, as far as the animation goes for right now, I do believe that I finished this sort of rough segment right here, at least the intro that is supposed to be this scene, this first scene right here, where the main character is depressed and he sort of moves in and he's walking. He does like a sharp inhale, sharp exhale, and then he's going to sort of turn and the scene is going to shift, and I do have plans for the next scene right here. So where I stopped off right here was I was just building up the scene. So right now I've just been building up this scene and trying to establish different points and areas for this. So I do want to use the eyedropper tool real quick and just capture this color. And so now for this scene, this is where I'm going to sort of draw a back view of the main character. Okay. That's pretty good just for a standard character model. Because I'm not in the in-betweening phase. I'm more so in the establishing phase, or like the dang, what's the proper name for it? Basically, I'm at that phase where I'm just putting down my keyframes, and that's really all I'm doing is putting down these key scenes and key areas where the characters and models are supposed to be. So, real quick, I do in fact want to go back to which frame is this? This frame. And just real quick, I would like to draw this sort of podium. For the character Nancy to stand on, just so he can be a bit above his actual crowd. This is also going to help me establish sort of where he is in regards to everything if he is standing on a podium. I won't draw the crowd yet because I'm going to have to figure out a way to mass generate background characters. And actually, real quick, what I can do is pull out Nancy's character sheet. And that's actually going to help me real quick with him. Because he's a child character, I sort of have to draw, or rather block out, the figure and form of a child. Now for his body, I will use a lighter color, probably this nice lilac looking color. And I will in fact have to zoom in. Now I did use this sort of red color as a bit of an establishing shot, so I am going to just quickly alter the opacity to probably about 32 is good. This is mainly to provide some focus. Now I am going to have to zoom in just a little bit. And let's see. Now because Dante is a child, I'm actually going to have to keep him soft looking. Or like soft adjacent looking. So he's actually going to end up being about 5 head heights tall. 3, 4, and 5. Because I believe that most adult models, they're about wait, let me actually check that again. Because at least how I draw adults, they usually tend to be about one, two, three, four, five, about six head height. So I'm actually gonna have to compress things a little bit. Now, as for the body, if he's a child, that means that his body is actually going to end up being about 1.5 head heights, head width long instead of two. So that's going to be one. I'm going to say about this long. His sternum can still be about the same height, but everything past the sternum is going to have to be pushed up a little bit. Because he's short, he's a kid. So the belly button is going to be about this. Now, I may actually have to augment this just a little bit because this is meant to be a pose that, like, the legs might need to be a bit longer, or I could probably just push the legs up a little bit. But this is just the roughing stage. The one issue, or like the one thing to balance when you're roughing things out and blocking things out, is you have to, in some way, ensure that the character's sizing stays consistent, at least for the area that they occupy. Now, I do think that the legs of all things need to be a bit longer. So let me just use the lasso tool real quick and select this area. And I'm just going to extend it a little bit. I'm also going to make them a bit skinnier. And I can also go back and I am going to shorten this arm just a little bit because it is just a bit big. We're still in the roughing phase, so it's perfectly fine to edit and alter things at least slightly like this if you're going to keep the sizing consistent. And real quick, I do want to add like a nice little, let's do like a dark blue color for his cane. So right now we have this child character, and like I said, I'm going to mainly focus and animate him because what I intend to do is do the what I intend to do is do the like the special effects first and sort of have him do his thing, and then I'll have to animate this sort of like glare or glint for this character. And that's going to be quite fun. That's going to be quite interesting. I could probably animate like some. hmm, I'll actually save like the little lesser animations for something later. But I do want to have like an overarching motion that this character is doing. So I'll probably just have a still. Let me actually. So I'll let 1 second a time ellipse for this figure. And so then what I'll do is. You know, it is raining pretty heavily outside. It's been like this pretty much since I woke up, and I wasn't really expecting it or anything. It just sort of happened. Let me actually erase that real quick. Oop. I'll probably have to animate this on a 3. I'm actually going to have to think about this pose real quick. So, he has his arm raised and extended. It's then going to come down, and I'm thinking he's going to make like a quick wave motion or like a wiping motion with his hand, or it's going to cross over. How I want to animate Nancy is not your typical or normal child, and what I mean by that is how I want him animated and how I want his cadence is a very well put together person. Like if you were to see him on the street, you would think that he has like amazing parents or great parents or something like that. Now I actually got to now what I like to do as an animator is like sometimes I'll stand up and I'll sort of like pose it myself and see how it's going to look. Okay, I think I got it. Now, what's important, at least for this animation, is that the head has to stay stationary, or if it does move, actually, I do want to animate subtle movements for the head because it would be a bit uncanny when people actually move their heads. It's sort of like even if it's a small movement, sometimes your head still does move. So I actually am gonna have to alter it just a little bit. So it's just gonna be like a little slight turn, but the overall size is going to stay consistent. Now I think. Hmm, how actually am I going to finish this pose? Because I do have plans for the final pose to be like this outstretched motion. I would say that when it comes to animations, at least for when you're doing your blocking of your animation, it's good to use more gesture. It's good to use more gesture drawings so that you can really get the emotion that you want to convey in the animation rather than having to or trying to express everything. And I do want to animate like just a little bit of effects so then we can get like a rough idea of. At least for this rough at least for this rough frame right here. Now, just for the sake of coloring, what I am gonna do is I'll probably use, because I'm already using a lot of blues and purples colors on the more cooler side. So let me use a warmer color, at least for this. So I'll probably choose like a red or orange. Like this color right here would be pretty good. And so basically, how I want to animate Nancy's magic is because of his whole thing of being a spider, his magic is actually gonna look more like webs. So, say if you hit one of his illusions or something along that lines, then it just sort of disintegrates in like a mass of webs and webbing. So, I'm trying to figure out how I want to draw that. And I don't necessarily want to go the Spider Man route where it's just like a single web thread, but I'll probably do like a collection of small webs or like small strands, like actual webbing and spider silk. Let me actually look up some pictures for references. Hmm. It looks sort of like knots or beads. I actually was not expecting that. Hmm. I probably should have drawn out a sample instead of trying to draw every single individual sort of wave. Because what I'm actually going for is more so like a wave motion, if I can pull it out, where it's meant to go down and then up. And then sort of shift and be sort of this upward facing arc. So there's probably going to be a shift. I want to say, yeah, somewhere right here. Oop. Wow, it is actually coming down right now. Like, I live in Raleigh. I didn't hear anything about like a storm or rain or anything, and it's just pouring down raining. Hmm. Let me actually turn on Do Not Disturb mode because that's actually going to get really annoying if you guys have to listen to my phone ping off at random moments and random times. I'll edit it later. I'll play with the timing a little bit later. This is just to get the basic and general idea of what the scene is meant to be down. So then I can go back and perform any adjustments or alterations that need be. It's already been almost an hour. That's actually pretty good. I'll probably go for two if I'm lucky. Can I make Puzik's video? What's that? Anyway, hello, Crazy Miller. Welcome to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. How's it going? What you up to? Let's see. I mean, it seems simple enough to make. It may take me some time, but yeah, I can do it. I'm looking at the previews right now. They look pretty good. But like these seem more so like edits rather than actual animations on its own. Why are you asking if I can make it? I mean, would you like me to make it? Hello, the heart of homegrown. Welcome to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. I am a 2D animator, and currently I'm working on my own animated series. What you up to? What you got going on? This is my sit and chill stream where folks can come and go as they please. We can sit down, we can talk for a bit, we can go over different projects. I can share a bit about my live stream. I can share a bit about myself. If you have any questions about myself, pretty much anything you guys may want to talk about. I just finished roughing out and in betweening this frame right here. Well, not this frame, this scene right here. This is supposed to be the intro scene, and I just roughly blocked out the character. I use the timing chart and everything, and then I'll likely just go back over and add more details where they need to be, where I see fit. Currently, I am working on this scene right here. I also have a piece of character art, well, a character sheet, and this is the character I'm currently working on. His name is Anansi. That is the lilac colored character that you all will see in the center right here. Essentially, he's an illusionist. His primary form of magic is illusion-based magic, where he alters the perception of people. And this is the scene from the teaser. Well, this is the scene from the pilot where the main character, he sort of sees Nancy for the first time, and he's having this sort of street performance. And I do, in fact, have the storyboard right here where I sort of roughed out everything. We have this first scene that I just showed you, this second scene where Nancy is having his sort of street performance, and then in that same frame, what I'm going to do is actually have a pan up to where we see the seven sages, and they're sort of, you can't really make out what they're doing. You're just going to see like small outlines of them as they're talking. And so that's where you see one of the characters sort of exit a portal and go into a building. And that's when the main character, he sort of gears himself up and he's ready to go in after that individual. Thank you. So, The Seven Sages, it's a science fantasy show in which there is this blending of magic and technology. Essentially, after the year 2000, there was this event known as the Cascade, which brought magic back to the world. It essentially led to a platinum age where everyone can use magic from the oldest man or woman to the youngest child. So it led to advancement, revitalization of the land, people have longer lifespans, so on and so forth. The seven sages in particular are seven men and women who are each seeking justice or revenge. And I drew inspiration from the Bible, specifically the book of Revelation, as well as the book of Enoch, which is a lost piece of Apocrypha that goes over things like fallen angels, magic, so on and so forth. And so these people, each of the seven sages, are based off of the seven things God finds despicable, like a pride look, feet that are swift to mischief, so on and so forth. And each of the seven sages plays on that sort of righteous fury, where they each been wronged in some way, and they're each seeking justice for the ways that they've been wronged. And it's really a story about not necessarily good and evil, but righteous and unrighteous, and sort of that guide or that journey of going through hardship and looking for a better outcome. So this has been my brainchild for a while, and it's definitely been something I've been passionate about. Do you have any questions or anything you want to know, learn, understand? I do have quite a few characters I've been working on. If you don't have any questions, that's fine. Okay. Now let's see here. Actually, yeah, it would be 2 point perspective because of the way it's angled. may actually have to make this a bit bigger. You know, I actually am going to need to use that other frame real quick. Just so I can... Here it is. Actually, let me lower it a bit. I do think that one of the hardest aspects of animation is keeping your sizing consistent as well as establishing a new scene. Because when you are, I would say that from my personal experience, it's the still frames. Hmm. No, the still frames are the easiest. Sort of the actual motion is what's hard because when you are in betweening or when you are setting something up to be in between, you sort of have to bring your take your logical mind to the background for just a second and merely draw the gesture. And what I mean by that is there is such a thing as gesture drawing where you're not actually drawing detail, you're more so drawing the emotion or the overall concept and energy of a figure. That's really what animation all boils down to is capturing the emotion or the energy of an action and you're just drawing that in a sequence. And so this specific frame is an extreme bottom up view. So the actual character, we're looking at the point of view of the character who is looking up at the top of this building and seeing a group of men and women essentially standing up here. So now I have to sort of take my logical mind out of it and merely draw the energy that is being portrayed in this scene. But what's difficult about it is that there is going to be foreshortening that goes on in this scene as well as just And so, actually, I think for this scene right here, I'm probably going to remove this character. So then it'll just be Nancy, Ayo, and then this character right here. And then it'll just be this other female character in the background. And I'll save her for later. Like, she'll definitely be one of the more mysterious characters in the future of my show. I guess while I'm working, I can talk a little bit. Essentially, after the cascade occurred, it led to an extended lifespan. So people started living longer because passively, what magic does in the body system is it already extends your lifespan and it already sort of revitalizes you. I took the concept of essentially the Holy Spirit from the Bible. Like in the Bible, folks, like pre flood, folks could live like 300, 400, 500 years. Adam, he lived to be about 996. That was stated in the book of Jubilees. And then when it came to Moses, he lived to be about, I think, 500. So that's really what I'm going for is the return of magic is sort of like this return to pre-diluvian era. And so you got folks with longer lifespans, folks are more durable. That's just passively. And then actual magic is more so the projection of one's will and desire. It's just they call it magic because that's an easier explanation of what's going on. And so in the actual show, there is this innate connection to spirituality that all people have, whether they choose to use it or not. Like, even though there's magic, folks still can cook by hand, or folks can still drive a car if they want to. They don't have to fly around everywhere. Some people still clean by hand because it's the actual action and the simplistic action of doing things that keep individuals grounded. So that's definitely something I like. and I would definitely like to explore more. And I am still working on the speed paint, the character concept video for Nancy. I already have the footage and I just finished writing the script. I just need to record my audio. Hmm. Dang, You know what? I will worry about sizing later. For right now, what I'm gonna do is just block out the figures. Hmm. It's already been an hour and 30 minutes. That's actually a really good time for this stream. I'll probably stop in the next 30. So, other than. other than this animation, pretty much what I've been working on is just pieces of character art, redesigning some characters, working on my settings as well. Because I have to do all this on my own, it's really just been me doing things and keeping things sort of afloat, I guess you could say. I've also been trying to grow my presence because long term, I do plan on starting my own animation studio. Hollywood, I hate to say it, but Hollywood really is a sinking ship. Like, I don't really have much hope for that place. After the writing strike, the actor strike, and now there's a whole animator strike, it does not seem good for people. So I think that we should be at a point where folks just decentralize from Hollywood and sort of do their own thing. That's what I'm doing. I mean, there are just so many people who want to stay in Hollywood, and in my personal opinion, it's really not that worth it. And I do think that long term, people will be going independent for their animation and independent for projects in general. Because personally, I think that Hollywood never should have been a thing. And what I mean by that is they never should have allowed the entire industry to be centralized in one location where individuals can do whatever they want. Like that's probably the reason why there is so much corruption going on in Hollywood, is because all that power, all that money, all that influence is centralized in one location. And I've even heard that there are individuals who are leaving Hollywood, like the mayor of Hollywood himself. I mean, nah, not the mayor of Hollywood, but like the mayor of one of the towns in California. He actually left because he legit said that the city is evil, the place is evil. Like, you got whole mayors leaving, you have industries packing up and leaving, but then you have folks who are in the entertainment industry who want to double down and stay. And I was actually on X like a few weeks ago, and that was when the whole animation strike kicked off. And I'm like, yeah, try to get a new deal if you want to, but long term, you guys should leave Hollywood. Like, that place is going through judgment. That place is going through some very hard stuff. And then I got freaking attacked. I got dogpiled on. There were folks saying, "You don't know what you're talking about. You're just a fan." Like, blah, blah, blah. We're trying to find a solution now. What, you think we got all this money? And so I said, no, like, long term, you guys should leave Hollywood. It's not a good place. Like, out of everything, I got called a fan. Like, I've applied to 100, I applied to hundreds of jobs. I've tried to make my way into the industry. I worked on a bunch of my own projects, and then for some freaking elitist to just say, "Oh, I hate fans like this." I'm like, dude, I'm not a fan. Like, I have my bachelor's degree in media. I'm an animator. Like, I've tried so hard to get into the industry, and then for you to just call me a fan, like, that's super disrespectful. So at this point, I'm like, whatever happens to the industry, it's God's will. Like, I already did my part. I already warned you guys. I already said something about it. So don't say nobody warned you. And then they're gonna say some, "Oh, it took me forever to get into the industry. It took me 10 years, and you got to know people, and you get your work from what they say. Like, you get your work from word of mouth." And I'm like, that's the problem. That's the elitist problem that you guys have. it shouldn't be that way. I'm actually gonna have to work on some posting a little bit in order to keep that consistent. That's why I just drew that. You see, that's what happens when I get upset. Like I just, you see, charcoal. That's what I'm talking about. Like you got people going through hardship. You got let's actually put it into perspective for a moment. Okay, there are floods in California. There are fires in California. There's a homelessness crisis. There's a migrant crisis. There's food shortages, food deserts. Like, say what you want. Like, try to call California the city of gold or like where dreams come true. But right now, all I see is God shutting that place down. Like there's literally no other explanation other than it's literally the divine. Like how else you like there's no like just random chance. Well, I mean, yes, there is cause and effect. Like there are some choices that people did, but for the extent that it's going now, like all you can really say is that's essentially judgment. So then me being the canary in the coal mine saying like, hey, if you guys want to strike, go ahead and do that, but long term, like, you guys have connections, you guys have business partners, you guys are all animators, you know each other, you know actors, you know voice actors, you know other industry people. Like, hey, decentralize, go to somewhere like Ohio, go to the Carolinas, go to New York if you want to, go to Texas, like, get out of Hollywood because it's a sinking ship. Like there are small business loans, there are small business grants, different tax breaks and credits you can get from different companies and different governments. Like there are some governments who would scrap, bite, fight for the sort of avenue and revenue that Hollywood is making, and then they're far cheaper to live in. But folks still want to stay in Hollywood, and now I'm the bad guy. I'm the uninformed person because I'm telling people like, "Oh, decentralized from Hollywood." That doesn't make any sense. And I will finish this point. Let me just do something real quick. I'll be right back. I'm glad you asked, Charcoal. I am currently working on one of the scenes from my pilot. I'm working on my own pilot. The show is called Seven Sages, seven men and women who are seeking revenge, each for being wronged in some way, drawing inspiration from the Bible. So, the seven things God finds despicable, as well as some seven heavenly virtues dipped into there as well as taking from the Apocrypha, like Book of Enoch, giants, watchers, magic, so on and so forth. It's a science fantasy, so I'm blending technology and magic in this show. that's sort of the gist and the idea of what I'm going with, what I'm going for. Thank you. I've been working on it for a while, and so I've just been trying to grow my presence by my overall plan is once I reach 1,000 subscribers, that's when I'm actually going to start my animation studio because I do plan on starting an animation studio in my hometown and sourcing local talent to work on not just my own projects but others as well. Because, like I said, I'm just of the mentality that we need to decentralize from that Hollywood bubble to allow for actual diversity. Because what they do is they say they tout diversity so much, but they actually don't hire many black people, black men, other people who are actual diverse people. And that's just the sad truth of it. So, the best advice I can give you is start with the basics. Already to begin with, what you want to do is just draw from life. So, you want to have a strong understanding of what a ball is supposed to look like, what a person looks like, make sure that their proportions are right and correct. You want to have a good understanding of the world before you then start animating. So carry around a sketchbook, do different things of that sort, and just whatever catches your eye or gives you the urge to draw, then just draw it. And take your time, study, and then you can work your way up to actual animation because you are drawing life in motion when it comes to animation. That's really how I started. I had the benefit of starting animation in high school, but it was very bare bones. Like it was simple ball bounce animations. My teachers didn't really go over animation specifically in high school because one of my professors was more so into graphic design while the other one was into video editing, and film production. And then when I moved over to college, that was when, even though there were concentrations, the professors I had in college, they were more so concentrated on 3D animation. So that's when I had to go more so into my independent studies. But that can be a story for another day. There are various different stages of animation. You have your storyboard, you have blocking out your storyboard, which is when you take your storyboard that you probably drew either on pencil and paper or in Photoshop and you're trying to translate the different frames and scenes. You then have keyframing, which is when you just draw the basic keyframes that are going to be consisting of the animation. You then have in betweening, which is when you draw the frames in between those keyframes. And then in betweening can be further divided into rough in betweening and smooth in betweening. Rough in betweening is when you just draw the basic motion that is going to be taking place in the animation, whereas smooth in betweening is when you do more subtle changes in fidgets or you're adding more detail to the actual character model. Like that's when you start adding eyes or hair or the nose. Some animators like to blend their rough and smooth in betweening phase. Me, I like to further divide it just because I like to get the general idea of the motion down first. You then have the cleanup phase or like the final line art phase, where that's when you start tying down your animation and adding your final line work. That's also when you start dividing the animation. Like in actual animations, you usually don't draw everything on one layer. Like the head will be on a separate layer, the body will be on a separate layer. You may draw the hair or the eyes on separate layers as well. That tie down and that smooth in betweening is when you really start dividing up and breaking up your animation. You then have coloring, which is when you add color, add your shading, so on and so forth. And then compositing is when you put all of the animation that you just finished and you burn it through some form of compositing software. Sort of the industry standard is After Effects. That's when you add your glows, your shading, your different effects, bloom effects, camera lens blurs, so on and so forth. Yeah, you understand layers. That's why there's this whole community and there's this whole like fad of looking at animation errors. Those animation errors are from people and individuals who break up their animation. That's why there are errors. It's definitely a process. I will say that. I think I established the characters I want to. So let me just review my storyboard so far. So we go into the intro. The main character is depressed and downtrodden. He's walking down the city. He then sees Nancy's performance. Nancy does some little prestidigitation, some illusions here and there. It then pans up to the building where he sees Nancy again, and this time he's standing with 3 other people. He then sees this woman in yellow walk through a portal. Then the main character is sort of worried. He's looking around. It then cuts back to the ground level where she is walking into this sort of lab slash facility. And then the main character is getting ready to go back in there and address her or like investigate what's going on. I think that's pretty good for a pilot. The main purpose right now is merely to just capture the figure and shape of the characters. I'm not really worried on details yet because I already have character sheets for at least 4 of them. Yeah, 4. And then I'll just work on her later. I'll probably give her like a generic design and I'll go back on it later. But for now, that's what I have. I may actually end up having to zoom in or like scale everything up just so we get a better view of the characters and their details. Hmm. So other than that, there's really not much else I'm working on. I mean, my overall hope is like I've done smaller animations in the past and I've even done a teaser before. But what I'm really going for this animation is to just get that one big project that will gain traction, get folks potentially talking about me, and then getting the followers I need because I have been working on my skill, but what I really need is just that social pull and social traction. Because it's like I've been at this for like 3 years now, and I've even had this brainchild of a pilot for longer than that, but I don't know. Like I may be what's the proper word? Like I feel like I've been being shadow banned for some reason and I don't know why. I don't really do anything or I don't really have any sort of crazy stuff or crazy work I do. I just draw, I just animate and that's really what I've been doing. I mean, drama channels, especially drama art channels, they get a bunch of views. So I'm like, but I didn't want to be a drama art channel. I just wanted to make my art, make my animations, and then get what following I could. But it is a nice endeavor. It is nice to just work hard and desire to follow your dreams. And then it's also that aspect and idea of faith, which is what really keeps me going in particular. Because I'm gonna just be honest, like some of these things are hard. Some of these things are very, very hard. So, like, I've always tried to have at least some semblance and idea of faith to keep me going in particular. It's like, God wouldn't bring me this far just to tear me down. Like, I have to believe that there is supposed to be something better or something more for me to do, for me to achieve and desire. Because it's like, I don't want to be at this forever. I don't want to do the same thing over and over and over again. So, like, I've just been praying and I've just been trying my best. But I'll see what I can do. I'll see how far things can take me, really. Like, God got me this far, He'll carry me the rest of the way. All I really need is faith at this point. But anyway, it has been about 2 hours. So I don't want to keep you guys up here for too long. And I do need a bit of a break from all of this. I mean, I know you guys are saying, oh, you barely did anything. But, animation actually takes a very long time. And I'll probably come back to this later. I just have a few other things that need to be done. And I also need to help my mom around the house. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I have gotten a bit quieter because my mom came home early from work. So it's like, usually she's not home, so I can talk as loud as I want. But because she's home now, I'm trying not to bother her or get on her nerves or anything like that. Like, I'm just being considerate like that. And, like, things are tough out here because, like, being completely honest, there's nothing wrong. And I am a biblically minded person, I am a family minded person. So, there is nothing wrong with being like full grown and still living with your parents. That's mainly like a Western American mentality. And even then, it's a bad one because, like, okay, here's the thing: Jacob had 12 sons, and they were all full grown men. Some of them even had wives, and they were still living with their father. Like, they were in their 20s, 30s, 40s, even, and they were still living with their father. The only reason why Jacob left home himself was because Esau threatened his life. Who else? Abraham was just a bit of a nomad. Like, he went off to Canaan, so that's a different story. But for the most part, like, there's nothing wrong with living with your family. But anyway, I think that's about it. You guys definitely have better stuff to do. And I am very glad and very happy that I got as many views as I did, and I got a lot of good traction. So please, by all means, like, comment, subscribe, share for more. Road to 500. Once I reach 500 subscribers, I plan on hosting a. What was it again? Oh, yeah. The 500 subscribers is going to be a special 5 hour long live stream where I'm going to take one of my first original characters that I made and I'm going to redraw her and update her design to be more in line with my current style. And then when I reach 1,000 subscribers, that's when I have my Q&A. So likely when I reach around 800 or 900, I'll leave down a community board post where you guys can leave different questions you have for me, and I'll just read through them and answer any questions you guys may have, as well as looking at chat. But that's really my overall plan, is to just work on my animations, work on this pilot, or at least this segment of my pilot, and then go from there. But that's it. That's pretty much what it is. I do hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share even. I am going to try to get back into my Tuesday streams. I've just been going through some personal stuff, so it's all spiritual, nothing physical. But I will try to get back into my Tuesday streams. I stream every Friday. I usually start around 10 o'clock. I also try to stream every Tuesday. That's at 10 o'clock as well. I have been thinking about special night streams, probably on Wednesday. Those may be like my gaming streams. We'll see what comes from that. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, share even. This has been Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art, and I'll see you guys in my next video or live stream. Bye.